What is going on? Happy Monday morning. Hope that you're doing well. Hope that it's a beautiful day, to have a beautiful day for you. And I hope that you are rocking and rolling. Maybe you're on your way to work. Maybe you're doing your morning workout. Maybe you're doing the dishes, doing whatever you do in the morning. But happy Monday morning if you're listening to this when it drops. And happy whatever time it is if you're not listening to this when it drops. It is Monday, September 8th. We are rocking and rolling through this year. It seems to be flying by, but you know, a while back I was driving home from work. This is like maybe 2 years ago, and I'm kind of I'm driving home from work, and I'm thinking to myself, I've got to, I'm kind of choked because I had to work late that day. And, I was thinking to myself as I'm driving home, long day, and I go, fuck, I really don't want to work out right now. I think maybe a friend of mine asked to chill or something like that. And I was like, no, dude, I got to go home and hit this workout. I told myself I'd do X, Y, and Z. I think I was doing 75 hard at the time. So it was like, it was important to me at the time to follow through with the commitment that I made for myself. I have to hit this workout this evening after work, no matter what time I get off work. And it was one of those nights where it was like, by the time I finish that workout, I don't want to do anything else. I'm sorry. So I was just kind of like choked, and I was like, oh man, I was just choked. And I remember hearing this thing on this podcast, and so I just was telling myself this message. And it was like, you shouldn't get mad about the things that you choose to do. Like you're choosing to do this thing. So don't be upset that you have to do it now when the going gets tough or whatever, that whenever, oh, I want to deviate, or hey, I deserve this rest, or I deserve this, I can change my plans, whatever it is. And then you're like, oh, wait, no, I should follow through with this commitment. Or maybe you have to. Maybe you feel like you have to. Excuse me. And, it's funny because at the time I was telling myself this thing. And I was sitting there and driving home. Like I said, it was probably like music turned off. One of those days where I was just choked, almost in like a victimhood mindset. And I'm telling myself this thing, oh, you shouldn't get mad about the things that you choose to do. And I didn't even believe it. I was like actually choked at myself for remembering that thing, because then it was just like, oh shit, I have no right to be upset right now. Like I'm choosing to do this thing. Like it's a choice I'm making. I'm actively choosing to do this thing. So why am I getting upset that I'm choosing to do this thing? And the first point I want to make is the fact that I had to tell myself this. I remember vividly driving home, being upset, telling myself this, being like pissed off at myself, being like, oh, now that I thought of that thing and remembered that thing, I like almost robbed myself of the opportunity to be pissed at myself, which was kind of a weird, freeing thing, but it almost made me upset, like kind of agitated in and of itself. But the important part is, I'm just telling myself this thing, even though I don't believe it. I don't think it to be true. I'm just telling myself it because I heard it on a podcast somewhere. And, it was like a thing that I was like, oh, I like that. That sounds kind of cool. And then once it applied to my life, I was like, oh, this is the thing that they were talking about. And so for me, it was one of those things where I was like, oh, this is what they're talking about. So like, I just have to force myself to think it and believe it. And so I just like told myself, like, I think I even verbally told myself as I'm driving home, like, can't be mad about this. You're choosing to do this. And I didn't even really believe it at the time. And I had to remind myself that today as I was driving home. I had like a little bit of like a deja vu moment where I was like kind of choked, kind of being pissed off, being like, oh, I'm driving home. I have to do this. I have to do that. I have to do all these things. And it's like, well, you're choosing to do those things. You could just, phone it in and go to bed and leave it for tomorrow, leave it for another day, leave it for, whatever, another time. Or you can choose to do that right now and just take care of it tonight, and then maybe you lose an hour more of sleep, but you gain that relaxation back by like knowing that you've taken care of these things. You can't be upset about what you're choosing to do. You can kind of be upset, I guess, about like what, but that leads me into even the bigger thing is, which is that message of you really can't be upset about what you're choosing to do. And the ultimate extension of that, if you were to push that logic to its fullest, is that we choose pretty much everything in our lives, from like when you're like 0 to like pretty much, I don't know, I guess 18, granted, maybe actually earlier than that, maybe like 16, maybe arguably 15. Like from then on, you more or less you're like making your own decisions. I don't think you're fully formed adult. You can't make every decision, but at that point you're making decisions that can change your life in a meaningful way. You could get your first job, you could sell your first drug. Like it's like one there's pathways you can start to take. And so, like I said, I don't think you should make every decision at that point, but the point I'm trying to make is, for most of us adults, the positions that we're in life, the partners that we're with, the jobs that we work, the places that we live, like the city that we live, all of those things are choices. And you kind of just take the idea of like, oh, I was just born here, I just, whatever. But it's like, well, you choose to stay, you choose to. And so like you really do extend this logical or this idea to its logical fullest extension. You realize there's a lot in your life that you're choosing on a daily basis that you really like maybe complain about, maybe you stress about, that you're choosing for yourself. Like I said, the person you choose to be in a relationship with, the place that you live, the job that you work. And you can make excuses, or you can put yourself into that victimhood mindset of like, oh no, I have to do this. I have to do this. But it's like, why do you have to do it? Because you may be pursuing something else, which is something that you're choosing to do. Oh, I have to do it. So I have to go to university. Why do you have to go to university? Well, because I want to be a doctor. It's like, yeah, but you're choosing to be a doctor. So you can't really be upset about like what you knowingly need to do that thing. And so if you view it, like I said, at the fullest extension, the logical conclusion is that a lot of the things that we complain about, or that we get upset about, or that we get stressed about, or that we get anxious about, or that we feel any of these, quote unquote, negative emotions or feelings about, is things that we're choosing for ourselves. And so really what it is a perspective shift of being able to look at delayed gratification of like, yeah, I'm choosing to do this thing right now because it has this benefit that I'm going to reap later. And if the benefit, if you're like reflecting back on it and you're like, oh, well, being a doctor isn't really worth it for me. I don't really feel comfortable sacrificing those, early, pivotal years of my 20s or whatever. I don't want to go to university. Well, then you have to make that decision. But you have to think about, this is the payoff. This is the reward I'm going to have at the end of it. Oh, excuse me. Oh, I just had dinner. Sorry about that. But, this is the thing I want to have. And so I have to understand that these are the things I'm going to have to go through. And again, like, I have to remind myself this all the time. And today was one of those days where it was like, I'm driving home. It was like a 12-hour day, 13-hour day kind of thing. And I'm like, okay, there's these things that, I'm going to record a podcast when I get home. I have to take care of a couple chores. I have to do, do some work. I basically just have to do some work. There's like some paperwork I have to do. There's like literal, just like work that I have to complete. And I'm telling myself this, like, you choosing this, like, this is something you choose to do. Just by the nature of my work, it's, and part of it is because like, yeah, I'm planning to take half the day off tomorrow. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, I'm choosing to do that. And so I'll just get the work done today kind of deal. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things where, and that's kind of like a trivial, like I said, example. But again, if you take it to its logical conclusion of like I said, the cities that we live in, a lot of us in Vancouver, myself included, complain about a lot of the dumb shit that happens here. And at the end of the day, you know, you choose to stay. You choose to, you know, not voice your opinion or voice your opinion. You choose to vote a certain way or vote a different way. You choose these things. And you choose to go to a certain place or not go to a certain place. Like there's certain places in the city where I just don't really go. And, you know, there's a reason for that. I don't really, you know, I don't really condone the behavior that goes on there. And if you don't know about, you know, the downtown east side or the downtown core, or, you know, a lot of places in Vancouver where people will claim it's, you know, a lot safer, but I don't, you know, I've got lived experiences that tell me otherwise. And so you kind of have to understand that each one of these things is a choice. And so if there's something going on down there that I want to go to, you know, obviously, then you can choose whether to do it or not. And again, maybe I'm just going in circles at this point. But again, the original example that I really like felt that deja vu moment for was like driving home from work and having to go work out, go to the gym, lift weights, do something like that. And I'm like driving home being like, fuck, I'm so tired. I don't want to do this right now. I want to go chill with my buddies. I want to go relax. And then remind myself like, oh, I'm actually choosing to go do this thing. So like, I can't really be upset about it. In fact, like, it's like, why am I doing it? Oh, because there's a benefit that I'm going to reap, you know, at the end of the tunnel. And I'm going to feel better about myself. I'm going to feel more confident. I'm probably going to see people at the gym that, you know, maybe make me feel better about myself, or, you know, listen to a podcast or listen to some music, or, and at the end of the day, I'm going to get a workout in. I'm going to actually feel good, you know, and move my body and do something good for myself, you know, and, you know, how can I be upset about making that choice? You know, and again, it comes down to every little thing in life, you know, and there's a lot of things that, you know, the thing that the phrase that always comes to my mind is like, you don't choose the cards that you're dealt, but you choose how you play them. And, you know, we're not all dealt the same hand, but like, dude, you can get advice from others. You don't have to just play blindly. You can, you know, talk to other people. You can get advice from others. You can watch others make their mistakes and learn from that. You can read books. There's all these different things. So at some point in life, you have to think, oh, I've been playing this game this way, and it's not ending up the way I like, or the way that I wanted it, or the way that I intended it. And, you know, why is that? Reflect on some of those choices that have led you there, and understand you can't really be mad about what you chose, because at that point you were making your best decision. And if you weren't, then learn from that, you know. But at the end of the day, you can't be mad about the things that you choose. And I think that that's a beautiful place to wrap this up, to stop me from talking in circles. I hope you guys could pull something out of that. And on that note, I will see you next Monday. If you feel compelled to, please do leave a comment, like this video if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe. If you're listening to this on any podcast platform, leave a little 5-star review, leave a little message, a little comment in your review. All of these things help boost me in the algorithm and help your boy spread some messages that I think, you know, at the end of the day are kind of just like messages I needed to remind myself. And, again, some of these things, it's like you hear it and you tell yourself it, but it's not until like 1 or 2 or 3 years later of telling yourself it all the time where you actually start to believe it and feel it. And so I'm not a huge person on like affirmations. I don't really swear by them all that much. It's not something I firmly recommend or talk about very often. But that is the best testimony I can give in terms of, you know, actual affirmations for myself, just reminding myself, just saying it over and over and over again, internally, externally, actually verbally saying it to other people as well, until I actually, years down the road, felt it, believed it in my core, where it's like, oh, this is something it was like so natural. It's like, oh, this is something I'm choosing to do. So I can't be upset about it. In fact, I'm actually going to enjoy the process. I'm going to choose to do it and then enjoy doing it and get the most out of it that I can and put the most enthusiasm into it that I can. And so on that note, much love. Peace out. See you next Monday. Bye.